Are we there? Hi, everyone. Welcome to the kindergarten and first and second, the kindergarten, I'm sorry, the first and second, we just got off the kindergarten meeting. The first and second Salem reentry plan meeting with Dr. Ferrante. I am Kara Christoferatos. I am senior co-president of the Salem HSA. My co-president is Sue Grazer Weiss. We just want to quickly say hello and give you a little information about the Salem HSA before Dr. Ferrante jumps on and starts the important part of the meeting. This year, we switched websites to and platforms for our email. So it's important that families go onto the new website, which is www.salemhsa.membershiptoolkit.com. which we will put in the comments at some point, to register your family and update your family to make sure that you're getting emails from us. And there is a comment section in here. Dr. Ferrante is going to go through all of her information, and all of the questions that were asked through us were sent to her, and she will be answering those questions. You can always ask live questions during this meeting. We ask that you reserve the comment section to questions, so it's easier for Sue and I to go through them and make sure that we're getting your questions answered. Of course, if we run out of time, Dr. Ferrante will get those questions to you in a different way. And this will be on our website, hopefully by tomorrow, where you can watch the recording if you weren't able to watch the whole thing, or you want to go back and listen to us all over again. So at this time, I'm going to pass the baton over to Dr. Ferrante and start the meeting.
Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Ferrante here. Hope everyone's had a good summer. I do want to introduce Mr. Scully. He's joining us. Every elementary school is having one of the directors with us, so we're lucky enough to have Mr. Scully, who is the Creative and Performing Arts Director. So if there's any questions that arise, he'll be able to help us answer those for that department. And that's it. And I'm going to get started. So I did, as Kara mentioned, I did look at all the questions that you inputted into the system, so I appreciate that and thank you. I did ask everybody to. I did look at themes. So my presentation really incorporates a lot of the themes. Of course, I probably wasn't able to answer everybody's question, but hopefully by the presentation is thorough enough and you'll be able to get most of your questions answered. And if something does not get answered, you can always email me. As you know, that is always an option, so that's not a problem. So first, I just want to say, I know the past week and a half has been full with a lot of emotions. There's been a lot of anger. There's been a lot of frustration. People have been upset from the change of plans, and I understand that, and I get that. I said to the kindergarten parents, I'm going to say to you that, we're on this roller coaster ride together. We will get off this roller coaster ride together. This is not going to be forever. This is a temporary state. The great thing about all of you is that you know how awesome Salem is, and we're really a special place. So hopefully that our community can still come together during this time and really support each other, and that includes you supporting each other, us supporting you, and the teachers. So we're here for you. So just so you do know, I know you read Dr. Hines' letter that was given on Friday afternoon, that the elementary instructional subcommittee is still going to be meeting and looking at possibly having us come back in full and assessing how and when that could happen. So be on the lookout for more information from that. No, we've never done this before. We've never done school in a pandemic before. We did school virtually last year in a pandemic, but we've never done actually in school pandemic schooling. So it's going to be an ever evolving process. We're probably going to have to tweak things as we go, teachers included in their classrooms, me at the building level, but we will keep you posted and updated as much as possible. If we need to come back and have more meetings, we'll do that. So whatever it takes to get the information to all of you, we will. School is still going to be great. School is still going to be fun. School is still going to be engaging. It's still going to be full of rigor. It's just going to look different than what we're used to. So we're going to make sure everybody feels connected, whether it's the students who are fully virtual or the students who are hybrid. We're going to make sure that we connect everybody as much as possible. Our teachers, our paraprofessionals, our nurse, everybody has had years and years of experience. So we're here together to support you and to make the instruction as engaging as fun as possible. So we are looking this year, which is a change from what you probably experienced in the spring, is we're trying to build in routines and structures, and that's something that's very important to us. And I'll talk a little bit about that more when we talk about instruction. Today, what I'm going to try to do, just to give you an idea, is break it down into the buckets that were in the question, such as building level protocols, such as arrival, dismissal, health and safety, along with other protocols such as lunch and recess, parent-school partnerships, and then there's instruction also. So I'll get to all of that and hopefully answer your questions. So to start, I do want to make sure that you know that we are very aware of screen time. We are going to try to balance screen time as much as possible when they're in school and when they're at home. I do want just to allay everybody's fears right off the bat, even before I get to instruction, that we are not going to be all day in school on computer screens. There's some rumor out there that now that we're a one-to-one school district with devices, that all instruction is all going to take place on the computer screen, and that's not true. It's still really important for our little ones, our first and second graders, to keep building up their fine motor skills. Everybody is still going to be having all the fun items of elementary school that you remember from growing up, with the glue sticks and your crayons and your scissors and your markers. And we're still going to be having manipulatives, and we're still going to be teaching in our traditional ways, but it's just going to be not traditional. We're going to be creative in how we execute it all. The only difference is that we're not able to share. So we will have to look at ways in which we can have math manipulatives, for example, but not share them. So one of the ideas was that each teacher will put these into baggies, and every child will have their own supply of math manipulatives for the year. And that's sort of how we're going to be doing it. That's how we're doing art. That's how we're going to be doing some other areas also. So more to come on instruction in a little bit, but I do want to go into our parent-school partnership that we have. So, you know, this year more than ever, we really need to partner together, and I sort of alluded to that just before. It's going to be a stressful year. You know, we're doing everything to try to ease that stress and that anxiety, but we know you have it, and know that our building level protocols committee is doing everything to put your mind at ease. But if you do have any questions, or there are ever any individual concerns regarding your particular child, please feel free to reach out to me, the nurse, or your teacher. And we're here for you as always. So this year more than ever, it's imperative that you monitor your child's health. So you need to make sure that we keep our school community safe, that we're keeping each other safe. And our motto this year is, when in doubt, keep them home. I will talk more in depth about what all that means, about what your responsibilities are, and what our responsibilities are when I talk about health and safety. We also have to adhere to the arrival and pickup times. You'll be getting a letter about what those specific times are, and we'll be staggering those times as well, but we need to keep it staggered and have people adhere to that, just so we're able to keep the flow in the mornings and the afternoons going nicely, and making sure we don't have as many students all congregated in one area. And for the at-home piece, if you're doing fully virtual or if you're doing the hybrid, there's obviously at-home pieces. So this year we are really going to be having a schedule. We want the children to feel that at home is really a school. So have them up, have them dressed, have them have them eaten breakfast before they start their first Google Meet session, like you would if they were in school, and really try to limit distractions. Have the dogs in the other room, have the cats in the other room, have little siblings in the other room, and even try to foster more independence by having yourself in another room. Let that really be their classroom and their time to be with the other children in the class and their teacher. You will be receiving your class placement and your group assignments hopefully very soon. We have to tweak a couple of placements, and we'll get that to you as soon as we can. If you do have any questions about any of that, feel free to email me prior, especially if you need to set up stuff for arrangements for childcare. And make sure you send every day when they're in school, if they're coming, lunch and snack. That follows what the allergy protocols are for the room. So that's a little bit of a shift. Normally it's just snack has to follow the allergy protocols, but we're going to be eating lunches in the classroom. So you have to make sure that the lunch and the snack both meet the needs of the allergies students. And send additional masks every day, because you never know what happens. Sometimes they fall, they might get dirty, might fall off at recess. So make sure you send some extra masks for us in the bags. And remember that the teacher really is the master chef, for lack of a better word, in the classroom. They know what's happening. They know what's going on. They know how to deliver the instruction the best. So if you have any questions, or if your child is struggling in any way with how they're delivering it, feel free to reach out to them and have a conversation about what would be best for your child. So I'm going to go a little bit now into our building level protocols. Just so you know what happened, we had a meeting towards the middle of the summer where we met with, Kara was on it doing the representative as for the parents. We also had our teachers on there. I was on there. There was our technology assistant on there, as well as paraprofessionals, and clerical. And we all came together and we talked about what would these protocols look like for Salem specifically. So we came up with a couple of different ideas, and I'm going to share those with you to keep our students as safe as possible. So in the morning, we're going to stagger times for arrival. The busers are going to be coming at 8:30. That is going to be sort of business as usual. You'll receive your letter from transportation with what the bus route is and the time that the bus will be there. Buses will have less students on it, as Mary Callahan suggested in one of her Board of Ed meetings. It's going to be 22 students is the max capacity for each bus. So they added more buses to the routes. The car drop-off is going to have staggered times. I will let you know shortly. There's going to be 2 different times for that. There'll be an 8:30 drop-off and an 8:45 drop-off. And walkers will be arriving at 8:45 in the morning. They will be able to enter through Cliffway. Still, that's been a question that's coming up. Is Cliffway still going to be open? It will be open. And they'll also be able to enter through a door in the front. All students in the morning are going to go right to their classrooms. We feel like that was the safest. So we will be, we'll have paras in the hallways that are going to be communicating social distance and guidelines. And we actually came up with a common language. We're going to be ordering pool noodles for every classroom to have a creative way to keep reinforcing social distance without keep saying, stay 6 feet apart. So we're going to use the language, don't forget pool noodle distance, or stay pool noodle distance apart. And that's going to be our common language here. So that will be happening in the mornings, where paras will be enforcing 6 feet social distancing until they get to their classrooms, where their desks will be 6 feet apart. The dismissal time, what's going to happen is that's starting a little bit earlier. That's going to start at 2:30 instead of 2:50. They will also be staggered. Car pickup is going to remain the same exact procedure as in years past, where you come into the circle and you give your name or family ID number to the para who's outside. They will then radio into the school where your children would be sitting in the hallway, lined up 6 feet apart, and we will call the family and they'll be escorted outside to the car. So that is going to be business as usual. What is changing is going to be the walkers. So walkers are going to be lined up in the hallway. The kindergarten door walkers will be lined up in the hallway after the car pickup walkers leave, and the Cliffway walkers will be lined up in the hallway as well, all 6 feet apart. We are going to have the aide at the door have the radio to the aide in the hallway, where you as a parent will have to come up to the aide, announce your name, and then they will get the children and bring them up to you. There's going to be, here's a big change. There is going to be no more independent walkers leaving at a Cliffway or kindergarten door. Some parents had asked, doesn't that seem a little silly, because it will increase the people waiting in the back? But the reason why we're doing this is due to the congregation of students. So oftentimes when they leave as independent walkers, all of the students gather very close together. Sometimes some play in the Cliffway field. Sometimes some just gather in big groups and walk together. And there will be no adult supervision trying to maintain the 6 feet distance. So that's why we are asking that all parents have to have their children, have to come to the door to get their children as walkers. Dismissal forms are going to be sent out to you shortly via email. So you'll be getting that. Be on the lookout for that, where you can decide how you want your children to be dismissed. And one big thing is, please, 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 unless it is a true emergency, do not make daily changes. We can't have the changes be as frequent, because we're trying to keep everybody safe, and we need to make sure that they stay consistent. So no play date switches, no switching if it's raining. If you feel like you're going to not let your children walk in the rain, then just do the car pickup or the bus. Lunch and recess, that's our next thing we discussed. So lunch is all going to be served in the classrooms. If your child, we're suggesting that if you can have your children bring lunch, that would be a huge help to us. But if not, or they want to order lunch, that is fine. We still will have that available to all of them. In the morning, the child will give their lunch count of what they want to eat in the morning, and then the paras will be delivering the lunch from the cafeteria kitchen to the classrooms, where the children will be eating in the classroom 6 feet apart. It will not be outdoor lunch due to keeping allergy students safe. We want them all to be 6 feet apart, and since they're having their masks off, we want to make sure they stay 6 feet apart, because remember, our district is doing 6 feet and masks, and not or masks. So all our desks definitely are 6 feet apart. And so since they will be having their masks off during their eating times, we want to make sure that they maintain that 6 feet distance. We are going to be, another change in protocols is that normally when you get your class placement letters, some classes that have allergies in them get the allergy letter, where they are told what allergies are in the classroom, and they have to make sure that their snack does not contain any of those allergens. This is going to have to be the same for lunch. So both the snack and the lunch will both have to be free of the allergens that are contained on that letter, in that letter. Recess is going to, and then lunch is going to stay 30 minutes as always. Recess is going to stay 30 minutes, and recess will be outside. And our team of protocols who did the recess came up with some really creative ideas. We dedicated 4 different spaces for recess outside. So the children are going to remain in their classroom pods during recess and play with those people that are in their classroom pods. So we discovered different locations for that. So there's going to be the outdoor recess will have 4 different stations. For example, you could have a basketball court. You could also have 2 of the playgrounds will be other locations, or the blacktop. And we came up with different ideas for them to do, because what are you going to do now during outdoor recess? So they were very creative. I'm not going to read all of them, but I'll give you a couple of ideas. Our students always love doing chalk on the cement, so they definitely can do that. Someone talked about doing shadow tag, which of course would have to be on a sunny day, but that was a really cute idea. Kids can bring in books from home. They can bring toys from home to play with. They could do skip rope, jump rope, hopscotch. They could do relay races without other objects. Red light, green light, 1, 2, 3. Simon Says. There's a whole bunch of things that our children can play, where we will be having some professional development with the paras that are out there that are assigned to the classes, so they can help engage the students in those types of games. It will be a little bit of shift, but I'm sure it's going to be all good. For indoor recess, it will actually be similar. If it's raining, that they'll be inside. If it's really, really cold, they will be inside. But as you know me, I like to get them outside as much as possible. So make sure they come with their hats and their gloves and their scarves and all of that. They can bring, for indoor recess, they're allowed to bring in certain toys from home, so they can play with that at their desks as they talk with their friends from their tables. So during lunchtime, we're going to encourage students to make sure they use the bathrooms during lunch, because it's a little bit more manageable. But if, of course, there's an emergency during lunch, we will make sure that they will be able to use the bathroom, and we've dedicated a certain area for those bathrooms. The playground at nighttime is going to be cleaned. When children are using the playground or coming in from recess at all, we're going to require them to either wash their hands or use the hand sanitizing stations as they enter the building. And there also will be hand sanitizers in each classroom for the children to use. If you want to have your child have their own personal hand sanitizer or wipes, they can do that. You can bring them in. They just have to keep them in their backpack or in their desks, and they can use it in the classroom with the teacher supervising or a para supervising. So I know I talked a little bit about bathrooms. I want to talk some more about bathrooms. So for our first grade parents, one of the biggest rite of passages for our little ones is when they no longer are using the bathrooms in the kindergarten classrooms and are now using their bathrooms in the hallways. So this year we thought, really, how are we going to handle this and how we're going to do this? So we decided that we're going to only have 2 children allowed in the bathroom at one time. In the boys' bathrooms, we're going to be closing the urinals and just allowing the stalls to be used to be able to provide social distancing in the bathrooms. And we're also going to be closing the sinks. So every other sink is open and not every sink, to also enforce the social distancing. We're going to have a bathroom monitor that is outside the bathroom, so they can monitor the amount of students that are in, and then have the children wait in the hallway as they are 6 feet apart. And we are going to be making sure that we have towels in the bathroom and not use the hand dryers. That came from the district level protocols meeting. This year, for some of our building level protocols, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to have parent visits or some special programs with outside people coming in. We're really going to be looking at this and assessing this as we move along this year. And we're very hopeful that maybe in the spring, or maybe even hopefully sooner, we'll be able to have parents come back in and have a pseudo-normal of a year where we are able to have and celebrate in certain ways as a school. But for right now, at least with us opening, there are no parent visitors or special programs that have outside vendors. We have looked at all of our instructional spaces to ensure safe distancing inside, but we also looked outside. So we have a lot of outdoor spaces here at Salem. The HSA graciously bought us more chairs and some umbrellas. So we have this outdoor learning environment. For those of you who know, that's in the back Cliffway, the backfield by Cliffway. So we're going to be getting those umbrellas up before school starts. So that's another option. And we're going to have music probably by the flagpole, so the children can still sing, because they're allowed to sing and outside, but they're 12 feet apart. Phys ed's going to be outside, up in the back field, and then there's plenty of other spaces throughout the around the building, that is also going to be used. We're looking right now to extend the Wi-Fi to be able to be outside as well as inside. So that's something that the technology department is looking into doing right now. So we're very hopeful for that. So with that being said, since we have so many outdoor spaces and some of our little ones have very sensitive skin, I urge you that you please make sure you apply sunblock before you send your children out, before you send your children to Salem, especially on those nice sunny days or even on the cloudy days when we are in the beginning of the school year. So make sure you apply your sunblock. Mask breaks is something that came up a lot for questions. And masks in general. So masks, the type of masks is up to you, but we're asking that you ensure that if no airflow can get through the mask. So I'm sure many of you might have seen even on social media right now that if you can blow out a candle through a mask, it is something that that is not good enough. So definitely test to see if you can blow out a candle through the mask that you're trying to get. So that's something that is very important. Another thing is parents have asked if they don't feel comfortable having their child participate in a mask break, can they not participate? And the answer is absolutely yes. If you want your child to keep their mask on all day, except for when they're eating snack and lunch, that is completely fine. You can do that. Some parents have asked, what about the medically exempt? What about the medically exempt children who are not wearing masks? As of right now, we do not have any across the elementary school that are medically exempt. So everybody would be wearing a mask for the entire day, staff and students in the building. Mask breaks themselves can take place whether either indoors or outdoors. It does not have to be outdoors. We are asking that the mask breaks be no longer than 10 minutes at a time. So we are aligning ourselves with the exposure time. And that's really important for us. We do have one official mask break written into the, built into the schedule. But that doesn't mean if an individual child needs to pull down their mask for a quick second to take a break, that they can't do that. And the individual teacher and the individual student and you can work together if that's something that is needed. So that more to come on that also. And remember, as always, we make these plans with the whole in mind, but as you know from being here, if individual situations arise, you just need to reach out to me or reach out to the teacher, and we work with the different families and the students. So please know that we're here for you to help you through this. It's important for us. So continue along the lines of health and safety and cleaning, the building and grounds department came together and we figured out protocols for COVID-specific cleaning instructions. So I'm going to go over some of that with you because there were some questions about the cleaning and what was happening each day. So the daytime procedure for our custodial staff is that before people arrive, each day they're going to clean and disinfect all entry points for both students and for staff. So that includes wiping down of all door handles, hardware, handrails, and other high-touch surfaces. Throughout the school day, they're going to continue doing that and disinfecting those surfaces. And then also they're going to include classroom door handles. They're going to do hydration stations and other points of contact that are used often. They're going to be monitoring all the restrooms to ensure that they are properly sanitized throughout the day and that they're well stocked with the hand washing materials. In between meals, they're going to be going into the classrooms. They're going to be cleaning up all of the desktops off where the children have eaten lunch, and they will do that throughout the day as we rotate through lunches. And then at dismissal time, they're going to do the same thing that they did in the beginning of the day, and they're going to wipe down and disinfect all of the exit points for students and staff and make sure that the door handles and hardware are all cleaned for that part of the day. Then at nighttime, we're going to be having nighttime cleaning procedures. So there's a whole checklist. I'm not going to read you this entire checklist, but there's an entire checklist of what's going to be happening at nighttime. But some highlights include making sure that all the desktops are cleaned and disinfected, not just cleaned, because there's two different definitions. So it's really important that things are disinfected as well. That restrooms are cleaned and disinfected, and they're going to be fogging. So what we have purchased fogging machines for every building. And what the foggers do is that they allow the material, the chemicals that are safe to be used to reach areas that we can't reach by hand wiping. So it just ensures another layer of protection and disinfecting for us. Each building has also purchased 10 hand sanitizing stations. So we're going to have those throughout the building. So children can do that as they enter recess or enter the building in the mornings. And then each classroom is going to also have hand sanitizers as well. And I mentioned already, if they want to bring in their own, they can bring in their own. So at this point in time, all children must wear masks the entire day, as well as the staff in the building. Buildings and Grounds this summer did go around and check all of the ventilation systems in all of the buildings. They're all up and running and everything is safe. What the district did do, which I'm sure some of you had heard through the Board of Education meetings, that they did provide HEPA filters, portable HEPA filters for every classroom, so in every instructional space. So we have them in our gyms, we have them in our cafeteria, the large ones. We're going to have smaller ones in every instructional space. So that's something that they decided to take an extra precaution and purchase those. The question of air conditioners has come up. The district provides air conditioners to students and staff that have medical reasons. So that's why some classrooms have ACs and other classrooms do not. The district is not going to be purchasing ACs for every classroom. So if your classroom does have an AC, the AC and the ventilation system are two different operating systems. So you can have the AC on and not have the windows open and the ventilation is still okay. If you do not have an AC in your room, the windows can be open, the doors can be open to move the air. Our ventilation system is still in there. The building level protocols committee did decide that fans they did not want in the classrooms just because of the the increased spreading of the air droplets, and they included that also with the bathrooms for the hand dryers. They didn't want hand dryers in the bathroom also, so that will not be happening. For tracing and testing. So again, I said this when I started off, I said health screening really starts at home. So we really need to partner together here. Parents have to take temperatures of their children before they come to Salem. If this temperature is above 100 and above, the children and siblings must stay home until the fever has broken or until you went to see a doctor. We're going to be recommending a lot of physician visits just to make sure that we're doing the right protocols and keeping everybody safe. So in the morning, one of the things you're going to have to do is take the temperature, the 100 degrees or more. And then there's 3 other questions you're going to have to answer. This is all going to be done through an app, which will be rolled out for you. If you answer yes to any of those 4 questions, your children must stay home. If you don't answer yes and all the questions are no, send them off and we will welcome them into Salem. The nurse will be monitoring these questions. If a family does not do it in the morning, we will then be meeting with the students to follow up and then take their temperatures here at school. But we really need you to partner with us because we have 1 nurse and 440 some odd students. So we really need you to do your due diligence at home. If what happens is now it's 10 o'clock or 10:30 and we know that everything was fine in the morning, but now all of a sudden for some reason your child's sick and starting to have symptoms of fever or other symptoms, they'll be escorted to the nurse's office where our amazing Mrs. Costello will be assessing the situation. If she feels like the child is having any kind of COVID-like symptoms in her professional take, we have an isolation room, which has been required by New York State to have in every school. It's not the scary place. We're getting bean bags that are going to be easily cleaned every day with that kind of material so they can relax in the bean bags. And then we're going to have to call you to come pick up your child and the siblings. So if a child is in the isolation room because we think that there might be some COVID symptoms happening, then you have the children and the child that's in the isolation room along with the siblings all have to go home. And then Mrs. Costello probably will recommend you going to see your medical doctor, and then we can take guidance from the medical doctor. If the medical doctor says that we need to have the child tested, then the children and the siblings all should stay home until the test results come back and they're medically cleared to come back. If the test ends up being positive, obviously we'll be in contact with the Department of Health, and then there'll be letters that will be sent home based on the contacts that they have come in contact with. So it could be we're just sending it out to the classroom pod. It could be we're sending out to the entire school. So we'll be looking at who to send that to depending upon the exposure to that child. So now I'm going to go a little bit into curriculum because there were some curriculum questions that came up also. And I know there's some questions about the hybrid. So we have become since last spring a school district where we are a one-to-one device. So K and 1 are getting the iPads and 2nd through 12 are getting their Chromebooks. This is our first year engaging in this platform. So one-to-one school districts who have already been doing it for a few years, there's this flow of knowing how to submit work online. There are these online textbooks, there's online programs. So we are starting that process now. So this is going to be an evolving process for years, not just pandemic. This is going to be an evolving process that we're committed to for over many years, which is actually very exciting. It really can completely enhance our instruction. So we're really looking forward to it. Children are required to bring their devices back and forth each day, and then charge those devices at night. We're looking to give those devices to the children during the first days of school. That might shift depending upon if we're not able to get the devices up and ready, but we're looking like we're doing a pretty good job. We have to push out certain apps for the iPads and we have to get the Chromebooks already, but our goal is to have them to your children on the first day of school when they arrive in school on their day. Questions still are coming up about what does that mean on the hybrid schedule, what Google Meet is versus what Google Classroom is. So I'm going to go a little bit into that. Remember, when you're hybrid, your children are in school one day and they're at home another day. And if you have opted into the fully virtual model, you'll be home every single day, but following one schedule or the other. So when you're in school, your children are going to be in school. If you're fully virtual, you're a part of the blue team, and the blue team is in school, you're going to be following that blue team schedule. And if you're at home in the morning and you're on the opposite team, you're going to be following the at-home schedule. Everybody, whether you're in school, whether you're at home, whether you're fully virtual, all is going to come together in a morning Google Meet meeting. So you're going to have the whole class together on one screen interacting with the teacher. Attendance is going to be taken there. So it's very important, even though you're at home, that you are on that meet, whether it's virtual or at home hybrid or in school. Attendance will be taken every day. You're going to be, lunch count for the in-school children will be done there. And then the teachers are going to break off into their morning instruction. If you are at home then at that time and you're hybrid, you're going to do Google Classroom, which is on the schedule. Google Classroom really just means asynchronous work. So your asynchronous work could be anything from a pre-recorded lesson from the teachers. It could be a PowerPoint slide presentation from the teachers. It could be independent work. There could be links to virtual field trips or links to videos for them to watch. It really depends on what is happening from that morning meeting, what they're going to do with you. While the children who are fully virtual are going to be getting the live stream from inside the classroom. If they're fully virtual, they will be following that, and they're at home hybrid, they're still going to be following the hybrid schedule. If they're live stream and they're at home, but their other teammates are going to be in school, they follow the in-school model. Sorry, I just hope I didn't confuse you with that. But then what happens is that at the middle of the day, the at-home hybrid students, or the students who are live stream and following the hybrid schedule at home, are going to now be in a Google Meet. The Google Meet is a synchronous time where the teacher is going to be just with those students meeting at home. Meeting online. So that's where there's going to be direct instruction through the Google Meet. Then the children would do some Google Classroom work, again, whether they're remote or whether they are hybrid. And then what's going to happen at the end of the day is all the children in class who are in school, at home, whether they're virtual or at home hybrid, are going to come together for an afternoon meeting. So there's going to be 2 times a day throughout every day where all the children are going to come together as a class, because we felt it important that we have to build our classroom community. So that's one part of the hybrid schedule that was still being asked about. The other part is the teams, these blue and white teams. So right now, just to give you a general idea, our blue team, let me just get my notes to make sure I'm all right with this. Our blue team is coming on Monday. A blue team is coming on Tuesday and Friday, and they are the end of the alphabet. They're the M through Z. Our white team is coming on Monday and Thursday, and they're going to be the beginning of our alphabet, A through L. Now, I have to be honest, there's going to be some changes and some tweaks in this. I wanted to give some of you a general idea. The reason why there's going to be some tweaks is because of programs. So if a child is having a speech group, or a child's having a resource room, or if a child might be in some other kind of group, I'm trying to align it so all those groups are here on the same day, so the teachers are able to see that group when they're here in school, and then work with them virtually in a group when they're at home. So that's my goal for that. If you have any questions, you can definitely reach out to me via email. We're trying to get you that information, like I said, as soon as possible, because we know that this has become a huge issue for childcare. And we're with you, and we know that you need this information, and we'll get that to you. So supplies is another question that came up. Right now, the teachers, since we know we're hybrid, are looking at their grade level supply lists and tweaking it to see if they need to add anything. So if you have already ordered the HSA supply boxes, do not worry. It's not going to be tweaked to the point where everything is not current in that HSA box. You'll be fine. If teachers want any individual supplies just for their classroom, they're not grade level supplies, they'll give that to you when school starts. Normally, we know that in the summer, by now, you've gotten the teacher placement letter, you've received the allergy letter, and you received an updated supply list and a letter from the teacher. So that's all going to be different. Everything is going to come to you via email, so you get it faster, and that includes the allergy letter from the nurse. So you're going to be getting the placement letter with what team you're on, blue or white, with the teacher, and you're going to get the allergy letter all through email. Instruction. So I think I mentioned this already, but the instruction is going to be still hands-on. We're still learning. We're still in elementary school. There's still going to be rigor whether you're at home or whether you're in school. The teachers are really keeping their curriculum moving forward. So even if you're in school for one day and then you're at home the next day, it doesn't mean you're not learning, you're not moving forward with the curriculum. You're still always going to be continually learning the curriculum. So I gave an example the other day. Let's say if you're learning sight words and they're working on certain sight words in the classroom. The children at home are going to be doing the same concept or following up or being reinforcing what they already learned in class or vice versa. So it's always going to be consistently learning. Everyone's going to be doing the same thing throughout the entire week. Manipulatives are still going to be given out. We need those. They're important. Whiteboards, all of this is going to be given out. It's just going to be part of your own supplies, not shared supplies. So one big shift is we're moving towards desks versus tables. So K1-2 always used to sit at tables. We have ordered desks for all of our kindergarten, first and second graders, which now allows them to hold their own supplies for the day. So they don't have to worry about sharing a certain caddy that's in the center of the table. They'll have their supplies right in their desks. Teachers are going to make sure that they have given everything to them, whether it's manipulatives in a bag or whether it's their own whiteboard, their own eraser, their own dryer, the dry erase markers, all that will be in their desks held. Children are not sharing desks. We said that in our presentation, I believe, but every child will have their own desk so they can keep their supplies in it for the entire time. Small group instruction can still happen. It's going to be creative. I was even thinking the other day and talking to teachers how you could actually even have children who are at home working with children in school in small groups to further connect the children who are at home and in school. And that could all be done through small breakout sessions in Google Meets or in Zoom. So all specials, the great thing about the hybrid also right now, which was also true for the other models, but we're trying to preserve all our special programs. We know Port Washington is really emphasizes the importance of our arts and our library and all of our specials. So every child will have a special rotation. So what that might look like is first grade for the first 2 weeks of school may have library every day. Then at the end of 2 weeks, the art rotation starts. And then the end of that, then the PE session will rotate. So every grade level is going to be attached to a special. There's going to be 6. You're going to have art attached to one grade level, then library, music. We have our 2 PE teachers and PEP, which is our Port Enrichment program. Every grade level, the great thing about this is every grade level will be receiving whole class enrichment through our PEP teacher, K through 5. And those are going to be the 6 rotations that will be on a rotation every 2 weeks. PE and music we're going to do outside as much as possible. So PE will have a space in their upper field where they're going to be having their classes so they can maintain their social distance. And music we're looking to do down here by the flagpole with Mr. Connolly so they can sing, because one of the requirements is if you are singing, you have to be 12 feet apart, not 6 feet apart. So we're going to have them outside so they can still sing and find the joy in that as elementary students do. So one thing also I just want to talk about is those time slots. So remember, this was what we showed the other day on the video, and what they showed at the Board of Ed meeting was really a sample. So that's not true for every single grade level, and that's going to change and evolve as it goes. We have the time slots might change too. It might say 45 minutes for instruction, but really it might be a 15-minute lesson, and it might be a half an hour practice or group practice work afterwards. So everything is flexible. Everything is going to be evolving. Let's not forget that, in all of this, that we're a community, we work together, that all of us, all 3 of us, the parents, the teachers, And we've all, the HSA presidents, we've all worked together through all this in a normal year. So things are going to come up. It's ever evolving. If you ever have any questions, please reach out to the teacher, reach out to me. We will figure this all out together. I promise you. I did want to note to you that anybody who does receive pullout services, that all those pullout services are going to be remaining intact. You will still get them. They will be both, and push-in as well, push-in and pullout services. What teachers are going to do in the classroom is that they're going to make sure that they rotate what they teach when they teach it, so a child's never missing the same subject for a pullout. So that's about it. It was a lot of information. Hopefully I got some of your questions. I see the chat room going, so I'm going to ask Kara or Sue just to throw me some questions, and we'll see what we have in the chat room so I can further ask.
Okay. Can the school purchase instant forehead thermometers so temperature is checked upon entry, not done by parents who may not be honest? How many students will be in each class, and how many students, how many students
for the temperatures,
per pod?
the district has decided that the parents will be taking the temperatures. It will be part of the parent responsibility, but also it will be a shared responsibility, as I had mentioned, that if we do see that a parent has not taken a temperature through that app, that we will take temperatures. And we do have the thermal readers. We do have those thermal thermometers. As for pods, that is going to look very different depending upon the breakdown of the alphabet. So no class is larger than 24. So if you break that in half, there might be it could be an even split. Sometimes it could be a 12-12 split. Sometimes it might be a 7. I'm losing my memory. That's not great now, but it could be a different split. But there's going to be, it's not always going to be right down in the middle split. It might change, but nothing is going to probably be more than, nothing will be more than 15 in a classroom.
Okay. When a fully virtual students team is in school, how will they be incorporated synchronous learning? Will the teacher call on them? How will they participate? Yep. And there's a lot of questions about will home virtually be the same to participate in the classroom? When
you're virtual, you're going to be assigned a team just like everybody else. So you're going to be either the white team or the blue team. So you're going to follow that schedule that's along with hybrid. So when when the hybrid team and your team is at school and you're at home, you're going to have that meeting in the morning as a whole class where the teacher's interacting with you. So you'll be able to ask questions and it will be a synchronous time for that morning meeting. Then the live stream will happen after that. So while the children are having direct instruction in class, that virtual at home will be watching the live stream of the teacher. Then at the end of the day, you'll be coming back together for that afternoon, 45-minute of instruction in the afternoon, where you'll be able to interact directly with the teacher and the rest of your classmates. When you're virtual at home and your teams are home, then you're going to be having the same thing. You're going to be having that morning meeting in the morning where you're interacting with the teacher. You'll do some asynchronous work. Then you're going to be having a live Google Meet with the children who are at home hybrid and who are at home virtual. So you'll only those children will be part of that Google Meet midday. And then at the end of the day, everybody will be together on one Google class Meet in the afternoon.
How will specials be handled when it's fully virtual fully virtual students? Will they be live streamed in so they can participate when their team is in school?
All specials are asynchronous for the fully virtual students at home.
Sorry, I couldn't hit mute. When will we have the opportunity to opt in or out into hybrid or full remote?
That's currently happening, actually. So it opened up last Friday on the 21st, and you have until this Friday, August 28th, to send in your intent form. And that intent form can be found on the Port Washington website if you want to go fully virtual.
Will handwritten assignments take place? They've heard rumors from other schools that everything's on Chromebook. There's no papers. Will kids be utilizing journals, pencil, paper? worksheets, writing during this age, this time especially? How will teachers assist corrections and review
So yes,
kids'
I'm not sure.
work?
I'm getting confused now because I'm on second meeting, so I don't know when I said it or didn't say it. I apologize, but absolutely, instruction is going to look the same. So we are going to have worksheets. We are going to have journals. We're going to have paper. Now it depends upon the teacher also and their comfort level. So they might be saying do a math and focus workbook page, let's say 41, and then they might look at it and correct it. Maybe not immediately, or maybe they'll walk around and look at it, see if it's correct. Might not be collecting the papers if they don't feel comfortable. Some teachers feel comfortable collecting the papers and are going to use gloves when they're going through it later that day. So that really depends upon how the comfort level of the teacher, but they are absolutely able to still use journals, have journals, write back and forth between teachers, hands-on learning. That's what I meant by hands-on learning, that we're still going to have all these traditional ways of elementary school learning in school when we're here. It's not going to be all on the computer screen. It's not good pedagogy, and it's just not good for them developmentally, and it's just not good for them physically. So we're not going to be doing that.
When will kids get their iPads or Chromebooks, especially if they're fully virtual? How will they get them? And also about the first day of school. I know we talked about it in the last meeting, but the kids that don't come in on the 8th, and that's not their day, how do they access? Are they part of?
So our intent is that the first day of school is the first day of school for everybody, whether you're hybrid at home or whether you're in school. Our thinking is that everyone's going to be getting the device on their first day of school. So if you're here on that Tuesday, you'll get it that Tuesday. You're part of the other group, you'll get it that Thursday. But what will happen on that first day of school is that you will still be provided with a Google Meet link or a Zoom link, whatever the teacher feels most comfortable with, to connect the entire class on the first day of school at some point. So you will be asked to log on for that first day of school in the hybrid model. And as for the virtual students, actually, I didn't have enough time between the two meetings to find out, but I do hear that the tech assistant did come in. So I will ask her about when the virtual students will be getting their devices, because that I'm not sure about.
Will live streamed students at home be able to ask questions while the lessons are going on?
Live streaming is a one way, so they will be able to they'll be able to listen while the teacher is instructing, and then they'll be able to ask their questions when it's the synchronous times later on.
Why is Wednesday fully remote? Why not rotate that as an in-person every other day week for each team?
Why is for Wednesdays, why is that fully remote? Wednesday is fully remote for multiple different reasons. There is the cleaning aspect of it, so we can do a deeper cleaning. There is the other aspect of it, so we can have PD for teachers, so they can be up to date on all the newest and greatest things for the virtual world, because that needs to happen for them to be able to execute and facilitate better instruction for everybody. And then the children will still be receiving 2 Google Meets a day, where they'll be synchronously working with the teachers in the morning and the afternoon, and then doing the Google Classroom or asynchronous work in between. We'll also have time for that day for small group breakouts. So the teachers, besides doing the 2 meetings a day, the morning and the afternoon, teachers will also have the time then to be able to work with small groups throughout Wednesday on an as needed basis for children. So that's another reason why we left it more open for them.
Will there be any adjustments on the schedule since most holidays fall on Mondays? They're worried that some, the white students.
Right. We actually counted it out, and believe it or not, it does work out that the instructional days are okay. I don't think I mentioned it, or maybe I did mention it again. Like I said, I'm getting confused between all the meetings, but I do know Dr. Hines did mention in his letter on Friday about looking at the elementary instructional subcommittee is looking right now at ways for us to come all in. So, and he said that was going to be assessed sort of by the end of September, beginning of October. So the only reason why I'm saying that is because if that does happen, then the Mondays won't matter. But when we did look at the numbers, they actually, it evened itself out and it wasn't terrible.
Will the amount of additional homework after the day is over be taken into consideration, as the parents will have to be involved much more throughout the day?
100%. That's a conversation. And it's sort of similar to when we were virtual, like there wasn't this concept of school day work and then homework. It was very different. So I think that homework is going to be sort of a ever morphing, shifting type of concept this year.
Aside from the group meeting in the morning and the afternoon, you said fully virtual students, when their team is in school, will be watching the live stream of the teacher, not interacting, correct?
During the live stream, yes. The morning and the afternoon are the interacting parts.
There's a question about children with IEPs, 504s, if they have paras, how will those students, will they be getting their services push in versus pull out? And if they have a 2-on-1, a 1-on-1, how does that person interact with them throughout the day?
100%. So all the IEP mandates will be given to all of our students. They will be so if they're virtual, they're going to have their group. If they're fully virtual, they'll be assigned the group to which they were normally going to have when they were in school, and that would be live streamed. So if they would be in a speech group, then they'd be live streamed to the speech group. Teachers could also opt, and especially in the small groups, to do Google Meets if they wanted to, instead of just doing live streaming, to make it a little bit more interactive. So that might be an evolving process that we do with that too, but they are being provided the live stream for those students who are fully virtual. If they're hybrid, they're the same thing. They'll be getting, let's say if they're hybrid and they get 5 days a week of speech and language, which doesn't normally happen, but I'm just giving it as an example. So they get 5 weeks of speech and language. The days that they're in school, they'll get their group in school, and the days they're at home, they'll get the synchronous learning through a Google Meet at home. So it will all be provided for them. That it could be synchronous or it could be asynchronous at home, depending upon the schedules. But they will be receiving all their services. TAs and EAs are working the same way that we did last year in the springtime. So your TA or your EA for your child is assigned to your student. That's their first priority. So they will be part of all of the Google Classroom meets. And they will also be part of they'll be meeting with them individually online to make sure that they're understanding what needs to happen during the Google Meet time, the Google Classroom time during the asynchronous work. So they'll be there for both parts. In class, they're going to be assigned them. They're going to be in the classroom with the teachers and the students, and they'll be there. Maybe they might not be sitting right next to them the entire time, but we'll be making sure that we put the children and the paras in a 6-foot distance, sitting away from each other or standing away from each other, so that redirection can happen and the pre-teaching and reteaching can happen as well.
What happens if it's drizzling? Can the children stand under the canopy safely for music class, or is there another space to go outside, since music is such a highlight at Salem?
Do you want me to add you back in, Miss? I just added Mr. Scully back in, but I'll answer it. But I know it was a music question.
I can answer that, actually. And maybe, hopefully it's the same that you would answer. So music only needs to be 12 feet apart for singing. So there's definitely space for music class, but they would have to do non-singing activities if they're closer than 12 feet.
So we are also going to be trying to provide a canopy. Just so you know, that hasn't necessarily come in just yet, but we are looking for a canopy, and that canopy would be dedicated for the music teacher. We will look to do music. We're going to be having Mr. Connolly and his students over by the flagpole. That's going to be his outdoor music space, so that they can stand 12 feet apart and sing and be part of continue his music instruction. If it's really that torrential or snowing that badly or whatever might be happening that badly, it will be a push-in lesson for both PE and for music. So.
Why can't lunch take place outside? Understand the need to be mindful of allergy children, but can't they be spaced 6 feet apart outside? Seems like sitting in the classroom, eating without masks is risky.
Well, we're all 6 feet apart, so that's why we purposely made sure that we were 6 feet and with masks, because the guidelines say that if you can't maintain social distance of 6 feet, then you should have masks. So that's why we tried to ensure the 6 feet. Well, we did ensure, not tried. We have ensured. So every desk is 6 feet apart to so that if children are without masks, that we are still ensuring all of the safety of all the children and the paras in the room with them.
When and how will fully virtual students receive workbooks, school books?
That is something that we still need to figure out. Like we said, with the technology, the one-to-one devices, I would assume that would happen during a pickup period, but we have yet to have an actual detailed plan for that. So more to come on that, 100. And remember also, just so you know too, as a side note, as we're shifting towards a one-to-one device, like Math and Focus for next year, the majority of the Math and Focus, we just purchased the newer version, which is all online and more interactive online. So a lot of our philosophy is going to start shifting towards how are we getting everything to be pushed onto our Chromebooks and pushed into our iPads. So it's probably going to be less textbooks than you think.
I have to assume the HEPA filters are being placed in the heating system when you say ventilation, as most classrooms do not have AC. In a day like today, which could be similar to a September day, what is the temperature in an upstairs classroom currently? Considering there are no fans being allowed and students need to wear a mask, this can be very uncomfortable and difficult to learn.
The HEPA filters are going to be portable filters. I'm not sure if that's what, is that what, I just want to make sure I get the right question. Is that?
Yeah, asking where, I guess he was just saying that the HEPA filters, the thought they'd be put in the heating system, but if they're portable, it's not. But how are they, if there's no fans, the temperature gets hot in the room, the kids are wearing masks, it doesn't seem like most conducive.
Right. It's hot in those rooms under normal circumstances. Rooms can be in the low, like I'm trying to think, like maybe sometimes low 80s they can be in the rooms. That's why we're going to be trying to go outside as much as possible in the hot days. We're having instructional spaces throughout the school. Outside, we've determined different areas. So I think for the times where it's going to be hot and they can be outside, even though they're still having required masks, hopefully there'll be more of a breeze and it won't be as hot as in the classroom. But yes, there's not going to be ACs that are going to be purchased for those rooms, and it is going to be hot. You know, unfortunately, it definitely is going to be, and hopefully it won't be for September. You know, hopefully by October we'll start cooling off.
During gym and recess, can the children remove their masks and be set up in a way to distant enough so that they can do that?
The reopening protocols committee said that they will be having masks on for both recess and for phys ed. So that has to be, we maintain 6 feet apart along with the masks for both recess and phys ed.
How do we know which is their first day of school?
You'll be getting a letter from me regarding what day is their first day of school. But we will, what I said to you the other day, the other minute, that Monday and Thursday is the A through L pretty much, and the Tuesday and Friday is the M through Z. So you'll know that the Tuesday, the 8th, if you are a M through Z alphabet, for the most part, you'll be starting in school that day. And then on the Thursday, the 10th, if you're the A through L alphabet, you'll be starting in school that day. But everybody's first day technically is the 8th, and you'll be getting information from your teachers about that.
Why did class size increase from 14, as Dr. Hines mentioned?
I was just stating what the max number of desks are in the classroom. So no class can go over 15, but if we can do splits, we're going to do splits. So it could be as low as 8 or 9, depending upon how the splits work, and children with different programs.
Confirming that siblings will be required to sit together on the bus.
Yes, 100%. We're going to have the children walk all the way to the back. So as they get onto the bus, There are going to be seats that are marked where you can sit, and they're going to be, the kindergartners are still going to be sitting in the front, but we're going to have all the other children as they walk on go to the back.
If the district moves to 5-day full-time by October, as some parents are mandating, will there be space to adapt to this model in Salem?
There is. We'll be looking at all different models. Right now, it's what the instructional subcommittee is looking at. How would an all-in be if we move to it in October? And what would that look like? So there are spaces, but just how would those spaces interface with instruction and equity? So that's what we're looking at right now.
Again, just about the holidays, someone was asking if the kids that are Monday, Thursday, and there's a holiday on a Monday, would they ever consider having that Wednesday replace that day?
No, Wednesday is going to be maintained for those days for the asynchronous instruction, the 2 times a day for synchronous, and for the for the teachers to be doing asynchronous work, doing professional development, and everything else I had mentioned before. Sorry, I'm losing I lost what else I had said before.
Someone wrote Dr. Ferrante for superintendent. And they want to know if, will the live stream be recorded?
That actually is a good question. I don't know the technology on that. I will 100% write that question down to follow up. So I'll follow up with that, because that part I'm not sure. So I will write it down and I will find out for you and get back to you.
Will the Google Classroom work user-friendly for kids or elderly caregivers to navigate?
So the wonderful part about this whole one-to-one device situation is that we're going to be able to work with the children in the classroom before we go, or hopefully we never go. But if we end up going fully remote, we'll have that instruction back and forth. So that's the good thing for the children who are going hybrid, that they'll be having the teachers in the classroom saying, hey, everybody, let's practice this morning. We're going to be going, turning our iPads on. We're going to be joining a Google Meet. We're going to be practicing how to do mute ourselves on and off. So that's going to be really amazing. I do know a lot of the kindergarten, first grade teachers and second grade teachers have been looking at other platforms besides Google Classroom. Some of you may be familiar with some kinds of platforms called Seesaw or even Nearpod, and they are platforms where children can, almost like Flipgrid, if you remember what Flipgrid was like, where you can easily record and the children can put their work up, submit their work by themselves. So I think it's going to be fairly easy. Are there going to be probably some types of bumps in the road or learning curve? Absolutely. Do I think that in the beginning of the year, children are going to probably need a little bit more assistance? And then as we move towards even by October, November, we're going to try to foster as much independence as possible, and the children will be able to do it more so themselves. So I can see it being a process, but I do see the platform as being user-friendly for the children and for parents who maybe are not technologically savvy.
Will there be an opportunity for fully virtual students to be able to meet their teacher in person in advance of school opening?
A parent had asked me that the other day. They had emailed me that the other day, and I thought it was a very unique idea. It definitely probably would not be able to happen before school is starting, I don't think, but I actually wrote it down and to give it feedback back to the administrative team when we meet together, because I thought that was a very interesting and creative way, as that parent and I were talking about the need for connection. So I will get back to you on that.
Just a couple more. How many mask breaks per day?
So we have built in technically 1 mask break. It is, and then you have lunchtime and snack time. So there are 3 times during the day where children will not be wearing masks, and those are throughout the entire day. They're scheduled to be staggered throughout the entire day.
How is attendance monitored for the virtual days?
Oh, so this is great. So everybody on the morning meeting, whether they are fully virtual or whether they're hybrid in school or whether they're hybrid at home, all 3 of those groups, attendance will be taken in the morning during that morning meeting where the whole class is there.
Hold on. Sorry, there was a question about the masks. Sorry to go back to the mask question, but it concerns me having kids exercise in masks for PE. Could you further clarify why this is necessary?
It was to maintain, we want to make sure that when you're, first of all, when you're exercising, and like what Mr. Scully was mentioning with music, PE and music, you have to technically be 12 feet apart and maintain 12 feet distance, which is even more difficult than 6 feet distance. So we really need to make sure that we are maintaining the distance, maintaining safety. As you are exercising, you are breathing way more heavily, where droplets can be spread even further. So we really want to just ensure the safety. And I can promise you that Mrs. Broussard and Mrs. Fallon are going to take all of that into consideration. So on the warmer days and they're wearing masks, they're not going to be extending themselves in exercise to the point where there's going to be issues. I promise you that.
If there are class pods while at recess, why can't the kids go maskless if they're staying with their group? Which is the same.
That's the same
idea as what you were just saying.
Right.
For
and
the
that would be the same concept of us staying maskless in school then. So if we were, then what would be the difference in a way that, other than if they're inside or outside, but we really are just trying to ensure the safety of everybody. So that's why we're requiring the masks all day.
For the virtual students, if an inability to participate during live stream isn't faring well, will a consideration be made to introduce an interactive participation platform during live stream?
I would say yes. I think we're always looking to assess how any of these systems are working. This is our first time ever doing this. I was even thinking creatively, you could even do it sort of through a Google Meet if need be. But I would say the answer would be yes. Like, we're meeting, I think the instructional subcommittee for elementary schools is already meeting again this week to assess what's happening. So if anything is not working well, we can bring it back to that subcommittee where there's teachers on there, there's parents on there, there's Board of Ed members on there, paraprofessionals, technology assistants. So we have a lot of people on there.
Are medical and dental updates required for fully virtual students?
Yes, everybody, and immunizations as well. Immunizations are required too for fully virtual.
Fully virtual students are getting live stream, but the hybrid students that are staying home for the days won't be getting live stream.
Hybrid students. So fully virtual students get live stream on the day that their group is in school. The fully virtual students get the synchronous and Google Meets like the at-home hybrid students do when the hybrid students are at home. So you go back and forth, you alternate days. So your live fully virtual students are following an in-school schedule one day. That in-school schedule is the day that has a live stream. And then on the next day, when the hybrid students are at home, you're following that at-home hybrid schedule where you will get a synchronous, 3 synchronous meets a day.
I know we're running out of time. If a child is homesick on their in-person day, can they still do live stream if they're able to?
That's actually a very interesting question. I guess it depends. I know if we're quarantining for the 2 weeks, the answer is yes, 100%. They will join the live stream crew. If they are homesick for 1 day or 2 days, we haven't talked about that. So that's a very interesting question. And that might be one of those evolving questions that I have to write down and double check, but definitely for quarantine. So if your child's going to be out for an extended period of time, they will be able to jump onto the live stream.
I don't know if you said this or not, but I know in the last meeting we did that if one student stays home, if you have siblings and one child has a fever, originally the thought was that the other kids could go to school, but now it's that everyone's staying home.
Right.
Correct?
Yep, that's absolutely correct. I double checked with Ms. Costello too, and about the fact if the fever ends up becoming an extended fever for that child, and they still have a fever over 3 or 4 days. The question in the kindergarten group was, do other children still have to stay home? So that's when Ms. Costello said, and I mentioned earlier in this meeting, that you'll have to double check with your healthcare professional as to what they say, because maybe the healthcare professional says it's diagnosed as strep, we're good, medical clearance, don't worry about it. The rest of the children can go home, can come back to school. So that will be the coordination between Mrs. Costello and your doctors. But we want them in schools as much as possible. So if we can get them back in here, that's what we would like.
Just the last thing, will teachers remind students to wash their hands with soap and water before eating snacks and lunch? Will there be sink and water in every classroom accessible to students?
100%. So that is one of our main things. So I had mentioned at one point that every time the child enters the classroom, we're going to have the hand sanitizers, and we have hand sanitizing stations throughout, but obviously we know washing hands is way better than either. The district is also providing us with portable sinks. They're going to be put up in different locations. We're still looking at to see what the best location would be of those portable sinks. And for the little ones, if they're having, the first graders, especially if they're having a hard time with the faucets, we have the pedal sinks in the cafeteria, so an aide can walk them down to the cafeteria to wash their hands. But definitely, it's been before lunch, after lunch, before snack, and after snack are 100% times that they have to wash their hands. We had to start doing, the kindergartners are very used to it going into first grade, because we made sure of it last year that it was definitely done. And so they're used to the routine. Now they have to do it in the classroom. And we will be making sure that every grade level does it, K through 5. Think we're good? Wait, Kara, you're on mute.
Sorry, I have too many moving parts.
I'm just going to post that HSA website in the box.
Okay.
Because
I sent it to you in the other, because it doesn't have a www in front of it.
Okay. So
yeah, you got it. That's it.
Yeah, okay.
So just a reminder, if everyone, we're going to be sending an email out to everybody, but if you go on to there and you register your family or update your family, then you will be guaranteed to get our emails from the HSA, and you can check out our new website and see what's going on there. Okay. And of course, if there's anything else, please reach out to Sue and I.
I just want everyone to know that I know there's, like I said earlier, we're on this roller coaster ride together. We will get off this roller coaster ride together, I promise. Whatever questions, concerns that you may have, please reach out to me via email. Beyond this, I'm getting a lot of emails these days, so I'm not as effective in getting back to you within 24 hours, but I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. And we're going to have a great year. It's going to be a different year. It's going to look a little different, but I promise you, your children are in good hands. We're going to have a good year. We're in this together. And I look forward to seeing their bright eyes. The new languages, we're looking forward to see their bright eyes. We can't see their little smiles, but we'll see their bright eyes. So I'll see you all on the 8th. Reach out to me if you have any questions, and we'll be in touch soon. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.